Girls like you go around with guys like me till sundown. When I come through, I need a girl like you, yeah.
Variety is the spice of our station. Relax, relax, relax. Radio.
The Chat Trap.
A very good morning to everybody listening in. How is everybody doing? This is the second segment of the Chat Trap on Relax. I hope you're having yourself an amazing day so far. I am
Hi, sorry, I couldn't listen to you very well. Sorry.
That's okay. We got Andrea on board as well. I was just trying to introduce you to everybody. We are going to be with everybody for about 2 more hours, actually, talking to you about a lot of interesting things. And we definitely want everybody to be a part of the show. We want you to tune in. We want you to share your thoughts and opinions because we're going to be talking about something I feel like that is very sensitive and it can be very controversial because it's definitely something new and it's something that everybody should talk about. So, yeah, I want to tell everybody to go ahead and share your thoughts and opinions with us on the chat trap.
Of course, I mean, they can send you messages about what they think about this topic because sometimes people are not agree, and I don't like when someone is not agree and don't tell me why. So I think that a really good idea is to send us a message about by Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. And if you want like, more directly, you can contact us by calling us and also downloading the app via iOS and Android.
Absolutely. Go ahead and do everything Andrea just told you. She explained it amazingly. And we always want you to be a part of the show, okay? We're going to be talking about, right now, what me and Andrea want to talk to you about is sustainability. We've had this conversation quite a lot. I feel like America, just because a few years back, I think the whole Paris Agreement. If you don't know what that is, that's okay. We will be talking about it, but there was a whole issue where President Donald Trump, ex-President Donald Trump, actually came up and said, "Oh, look, climate change is a myth. It's not true," and that just got everybody talking. And we also do have a lot of harm that is happening to our environment that we human beings are doing, right? And I feel like because of all of this, people are just starting to talk about how you can be more sustainable, how you can save the environment more. These are topics that are being discussed on social media, discussed very often. But what me and Andrea want to do with you today is to give you a better understanding, is to kind of make you understand as to which countries are more sustainable and what we as individuals can do to become as sustainable as healthy and good to our Mother Earth as much as possible. Now, before we actually do that, Andrea, I also want to remind everybody about our social media. I know you said Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. I'm missing a few, but every single social media platform we go as Relax Radio, and we make sure that you are updated, that you are informed and inspired. Now, with that being said, Andrea, I think we touched on that earlier topic yesterday just a little bit, but share with me your experience. You live in London now, but I know that you lived in Spain and Bolivia, if I'm not mistaken, a few years back. What is the difference? Like, I have a lot to tell, but what is your personal difference with regards to being sustainable, with regards to efforts to protecting the environment? What do you think the difference in the UK and in Bolivia and in Spain is?
Wow. To be honest, I don't think that there is a best one, but I see like during the past years I live in there, I look at that the one that take more focus on that will be Spain. I think in Spain it's like you go out and everything is clean, everything like that. So I think that's really good. But living in Bolivia, I realized that people take care about this, but not to that level. I mean, they don't go out to buy with plastic bags and all that stuff, but
Uh-huh.
they do another thing, and like they don't put the rubbish in the correct place. It's
Right.
quite different. Like in Spain, they use plastic bags, but they are really clean in that thing, like putting rubbish in the bin and all that stuff. So I think that's kind of mixed, but I mean, each country have different ways to be more clean and more with the most sustainability.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you. But I have one more question. That's very interesting what you told me. Thank you for giving us your experience living in Spain and Bolivia. But what is it like UK, I know you go to college in London. What's the situation like? Do students, do the young people living in London do a lot, or do they take an extra effort to be sustainable, to make less waste, to recycle their trash? Is it something that the youth, the Gen Zs, the college goers, do they talk about it? Is it something that people talk about in London?
I think most of the countries that I've been, like in the school, they teach you this is the color for this rubbish, to put these things there. But I think that, as I told you, like yesterday, something that shocked me a lot was when I was in school and they did. I was putting the rubbish in the correct place in the bin, and at the end of the day, a teacher me told me it doesn't matter where you put because all of the bins is gonna go to one. So if like you're recycling for nothing. Like, I mean, you're teaching me that. Yeah, I mean, it's really good. But if you're not gonna put that in practice, why are you doing that? Like, why are you just trying to make up something?
Absolutely, yeah. I know. I was surprised when you told me that the first time as well. For me, I shared with you my personal experiences. Again, this is just mine and Andrea's personal experiences. I've lived in the US for a couple months as well, and living in more developed, and I've also lived in Sri Lanka. That's where my home is, right? And living in different countries. Okay, when I compare, like you did, you just compared Spain and the UK. I'm gonna compare like the US or the UK and Sri Lanka. The difference is, I feel like, especially in the US, and I mean this with absolutely no disrespect. I don't mean to offend anybody. I'm just telling you, like, daily life as it is. In the US, for people, like, plastic bags, polythene bags, waste, it's not such a big deal. Like carrying a polythene plastic bag to the grocery store, or just putting your wet slippers into your flip-flops into a wet polythene bag. It's just a normal thing. Whereas in Sri Lanka, and I know in other developing countries as well, this is such a big issue. We do things like I know people that carry groceries in their hand just so they don't have to take like a polythene plastic bag to go to the
Wow.
grocery store. That's how I feel like there is more pressure that's put into this situation in developing countries as opposed to developed countries. And I think this is true through like the experiences we shared with you. I told you, for example, if you're just tuning in, we're talking about if developed countries are sustainable enough, if developing countries are putting more effort into becoming more sustainable. And Andrea shared her experience with Spain and Bolivia. She said in Spain how it's something people actually try to become more sustainable. It's not about it's that mindset, right? And I told you in Sri Lanka
Yeah.
as well, it's a different mindset. It's about, oh, we need to try to do something to save our oceans, to save
Yeah,
uh, our planet.
I completely agree. And you know what? I think that the most of the places that people use so much plastic is in restaurants and the hospital. Because my
Uh-huh.
mom working in a restaurant, and she told me, we got like really big bins outside for everything. Like we just have a whole lorry for just, I don't know, like for this stuff. And I was like, wow, that's really because she told me that it was like 10 lorries or something like that just for the wraps or one restaurant, and she working in one. So imagine in all area, because she working in London Bridge or Monument or close to there, and it was like really big. You know that is a touristic place. And the other day, my mom went to the hospital, and she told me every day they gave me different toothbrush and the cleaner stuff for the for the teeth. Um,
Toothpaste.
she told me, yeah. She told me she gave me every day different, like the nurse, and my mom thought she was sad because she was saying I can use the same one and try to
Yeah,
recycle that because that's a lot waste. Yeah, that's a lot wasting things.
absolutely. Wow, you brought up something very interesting, Andrea. And this is idea of waste, right? Humans make so much waste, and I don't think when we take the packaging out of like a toy or out of our lunch. If we take the packaging off, we put it into the dustbin, but we never ever, or we put it into the trash can, but we never think of what happens to it after, right? Especially keep aside food items, keep aside things that degrade. What about things that don't degrade, things that don't, they remain the same, and that's what non-degradable means. And where do these go to? And I was very curious, and what mainly happens is that it ends up in our oceans, right? Because you need to dump all of these trash somewhere. And what our governments do, what countries do, is they take this whole bunch of trash and go dump it in the ocean. What does that do? That creates so much toxic waste, because that harms our fish, that harms the marine life, and that just harms the entire life, the ecosystem in oceans. And even if they don't dump it in the ocean, we have we have places where they collect.
Because the other day I was reading an article related with this, and I wrote that says that most European countries don't put the rubbish in their oceans. They put in Africa places, like in Africa countries. And I'm like, that's another way to hide that situation, and just saying, okay, this is just for Africa, for this country, but not for our country. It's not our rubbish. Like trying to hide in another way.
Oh yeah, that's so true, because I told you I live in Sri Lanka. My home is Sri Lanka, and we had so many instances where developed countries send containers full of waste, toxic waste, to be disposed in our country. Obviously, the government is not, I would say, is not as stable as possible. So, they can just pay somebody and say, look, if you take 100 tons of waste from our country, we'll pay you this much. So they're getting rid of their waste, but it's ending up in our oceans, it's ending up in our countries as well, and it's affecting people. So we're going to go for a little break, but Andrea, when we come back, both me and Andrea are going to talk about little things that you and I can do in order to reduce waste, little things that we can do in order to, I always think that it's how like one grain of sand makes the entire ocean. It's one step that you need to do to make a huge change. It can be something very small, but a lot of small actions that all of us take is what creates a big change. So that's essentially what me and Andrea is going to be talking to you about in a second. So make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relax Radio.
The valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday, and what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. What am I saving or investing for? Why am I doing it? When will I need the money? And how much money do I need? Yeah. So that's quite important, because when you're looking at your net worth, you got to start with saying, well, what do I want my net worth to be? So that there's a goal, and then work backwards. How do I get there? And if I can start with £50 or $50 a week, if I save that every week, and you can go online and use calculators online. I don't have to teach you the maths behind it, but you can say, okay, and if I get a 3% return and I put this away for how long will it take to reach my goal? And that's called just this basic cash flow projection calculations. And it's what we use in financial planning all the time. What we say to clients is we say, okay, what is your goal? What is your objective? Where do you want to go to? And we discuss that in a lot of detail and over most of the meeting. And then the rest of it is saying, okay, in your exact circumstances, with your risk profile, with how you feel about investments and pensions and taxes and where you are and who you work with, and your education level or your lack of education or how involved you want to be. There's a lot of variables that we take into account, and then we say, okay, here's a plan. You start like this, that's great. And then we review it all the time. And we say, okay, we need to increase it, we're on track, we're not, this is what is happening. Because remember, when you're dealing with assets, the valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because You're always valuing what happened yesterday, and what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. So that's a struggle. Yeah. So there are strategies everywhere from £50 a week up to £100 million pounds, and they're different. Huh? They range differently from everyone, but and from country to country. To be fair, different countries have different tax laws, so different vehicles. But from your point of view, at the sort of normal end, I'm not going to call it the low end because I'm in that boat as well. It's as tax efficient as you can get it. That's where you start. You use all the tax efficiencies, and then you step up into different things.
Again. But now, if you say to a child, if I went up to a child and said, "You've had one to forget," God, there'd be an inquest. Me, why did you reject my son? Oh, I haven't rejected your son.
I want to talk about, how the generation gap, how much has changed, especially when you check the youth nowadays in comparison, to people back in the day.
I'd say when I was younger, it was more disciplined. Not now.
In comparison to now.
Not at all. Not now. The way things are nowadays, the younger generation, you seem that they can't accept the word no. If that makes sense. They can't
accept rejection, essentially, is all you're trying to say.
Yeah, they can't accept the word no. So if you, how did I do? Or you didn't do very well, and they get upset. And when I was a youngster, my father used to say to me, because I used to be sport mad when I was very young. Well, I still am sport mad, but like participating in different sports. And if I had a bad game, for example, he'd say to me, "You had one to forget." That's it. Yeah,
your dad sounds like a smart guy. I mean, yeah, that's the real fact of the matter, yeah.
He'd say to me, "You had one to forget. Get over it." And that was it. So I dust myself down and do it again. But now, if you say to a child, if I went up to a child and said, "You've had one to forget," God, there'd be an inquest. Me, why did you reject my son? Oh, I haven't rejected your son. Or daughter. I've just told them that they need to buck their ideas up.
That's the truth right there. I mean, if you think about it, if you check the generations, like right now in the US as well, I've seen a lot of these things as well. In the UK, you get medals for participation. But what's the point? What are you trying to? Yeah, what's the point? Either you win or you lose. People are so afraid to put that whole notion of losing. When it comes to right now, the generation gap is just crazy. How much. A lot has changed. Social media has taken control of our lives, and we don't even realize it anymore. We're crippled because of it.
That's absolutely right, Nick. Because, as you said, nowadays it seems that you get rewarded for failure. For the life of me, Nick, I can't get my head around that. Perhaps I'm just getting old and morbid. I don't know. I just can't get my head around how you could be rewarded for failure.
Hold up, if you wanna go and take a ride with me, better hit me, baby, one more time.
More variety than you can imagine. Relax Radio.
I love that part. I really like it because the music is like da 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 da.
It's so like vibey, like
Yeah.
dance to it, huh?
Okay.
Yeah, and I think I don't know. That's the good thing about music, huh? It's just like I don't know about you, but like every time I'm feeling a little down, if I'm feeling not so good, especially when I wake up in the morning, oh, music helps me so much. Is it the same with you?
Of course, I love music. I mean, I put music depends on my mood. So if I'm sad,
Right.
I'm trying to not put. try to don't listen sad music. I don't know why, but it's not try
Oh,
it.
really? Okay,
Yeah.
so I have certain times where I want to like okay, if I'm like going through like a breakup or something, I listen to music that will make me cry. Like
No, I don't know why people do that. Like they
I
try
don't
to
know.
cry because they're sad. I mean, when I'm sad, I'm trying, no, don't be sad, Andrea. Don't be sad. And
Wow.
I try
Okay,
to,
y'all need to listen to Andrea. Y'all need to like take an example from Andrea because I am so bad when I'm like when I need to cry a little bit. What I do is I have a specific playlist on like Spotify that I
wow.
use that is and it's called crying music. Like I can't. It's,
Fair
it's like
enough. Fair enough.
uh, no, but I guess it's like that just shows us that like every person has their own way of dealing with things. That's just my
Yeah.
listen to breakup songs, I listen to sad songs, and that's how I deal with things. Andrea is a sort of person that listens to happy music when she's sad so that she can get over it, sort of. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so I guess that just shows that every single person is different, and we want to know where you stand. This is just our opinions, this is just our experiences. We want to know what your perspective is, what your thoughts is. Go ahead and share it with us on 07852 473 473, or make sure that you leave a comment down below. Now, with that being said, Andrea, I want to remind everybody that they can also be a part of the show. Even now, this is happening live, so you can leave if you leave a comment down below, we can reply to it in real time and have a live conversation, a live chat. But if you know if there's no show happening and you still have something that you want to share with us, you could most definitely do that by dropping us an inbox message on our social media, on either Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or whatever it is. Just go ahead and get in touch with us because our ears are always open to listen to you. You are the number one priority, so make sure that you go ahead and let us know what is going on. Now, with that being said, Andrea, I feel like I really am very excited to talk about this next topic of discussion, and that's with regards to sustainability. Right now, okay. First of all, before we get into that conversation, do you think we should tell everybody what sustainability is? Like, it is something that I was very confused, not confused about. Like, I've heard the
I'm not
word so,
sure. Yeah, I completely agree with you.
right? Like,
I think that sustainability depends of people, the way that they do. For example, for me, sustainability is with clothes. I always try to
oh,
make clothes by myself or try to buy charities or
what?
secondhand. Yeah, I did that. I did.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, I am so impressed right now. You make your own clothes? Okay, okay, wait. No, that is a conversation we need to have. Oh my goodness, you need to share that with us. But before we get into that conversation, like Andrea said, sustainability differs from person to person. And sustainability, at the end of the day, it's not such a complicated term. What it basically means is that you try your best to live in a way that reduces your carbon footprint, okay? Or you try your best to live in a way that you have minimum harm to the environment. Okay, so that basically is sustainable living. It is a philosophy that aims to kind of reduce personal and societal environmental impact. It focuses on making positive changes which counteract climate change, which counteract other negative environmental concerns. So that basically is what living sustainable means. Again, like Andrea said, it differs from person to person, but at the end of the day, sustainable living just simply means that it encourages people to minimize, to reduce their use of Earth's resources and reduce the damage to the environment. That basically, it's not so complicated. That's basically what sustainability means. Now, having clarified what sustainability means, I think we need to talk about what we as individuals can do. Because Andrea, I don't know about you, but I feel like a common misconception with regards to sustainability or with regards to protecting the environment, people think that it's not something that we can do. People always say,
Yeah.
oh, our government needs to do something. Oh, our politicians need to do something. The big businesses need to do something. There's nothing we can do to save the planet. There's nothing we can do to save Earth. Whereas that is such a misconception. That is so wrong.
I completely agree because they think that, oh no, I can't do that because it's too much work or something. Or I don't know, they just try to make silly excuses for this. But I think that either with the makeup you can do that because there is now a recycled makeup like the plastic things that they have, and you can
Yeah.
use that as well. I mean, you can buy vegan things or cruelty free things because that as well really helps a lot to the environment. Trust me.
Absolutely.
Oh
That's
no,
so
because I
true.
think yeah, I think because sometimes people don't have enough time to do like the bag with the colors and all that stuff, but you can do with another way that can works for you, but at the same time you still helping to the environment.
Oh yeah, that's so true. I completely understand that not all of us, we live very busy lives and not all of us have time to be looking into like the small things all the time. But that's okay. So what we want to share with you, like Andrea said, little things that you can do to live more sustainably. And I think that depends on like Andrea said again, it depends on like everyday choices that you make, right? Everyday choices that you make, little changes to these choices can go a long way. And see, if one person decides to do it and then that encourages another person, it causes like a train effect, it causes like a ripple effect, and that essentially is going to result in a huge positive impact. So yeah, first things first to remember, I think the first thing is when you go shopping. Okay, this idea of reduce, reuse, recycle, the three R's, I feel like it feels like something that's old and something that we can't use or whatever. But that's not true. So when you go shopping, one thing that you need to remember is to try to reduce, try to reuse, try to recycle. Okay, so every product that we purchase from either a grocery store or a mall or a shopping center, whatever it is, everything that we buy has an environmental footprint. Okay, it causes damage to the environment from the materials that are used, from the pollution that is emitted during the manufacturing process to the packaging that ends up in landfills. We spoke about this earlier on. Whatever it is, when you buy something, ask yourself, do I really need this? Like do I like, can I live without it, or am I just buying to be flashy? Okay, and if you really do need something, like Andrea said, I love that example. Buy something with minimal packaging. When you're buying your makeup, try to buy something that doesn't have all of the polythene and the plastic and all of the things that are going to end up in our trash cans or our landfills. This is definitely, if all of us do this, just imagine the things that I don't know, that's just going to make like an entire society of people that are focusing on living more sustainability, and that I think is the first step of protecting our planet.
I completely agree because I think if you don't think twice because before you buy something, I think that that happens to so much people. With me as well, like I'm buying things that I know that I don't need it, but I'm just like, oh, I want it. But no, I mean, you need to really think about the environment because you don't want to be bad in, I don't know, in 30 years or so, or less time because this is not only for you, it's for future people and for older people as well because by those reasons people are starting getting like more risk to get to be ill.
To their health, yeah, absolutely. I don't think people realize, like, I don't know. So one thing that people followed in today's day and age is living for the moment, where you're like, live today, live, be happy, which is something that me and Andrea talk to you also. We always say enjoy the moment, celebrate the moment. But we also need to understand that if we harm our environment, if we harm our planet, our children or the next generation is not going to have a planet to call home, right? Which is such a big deal. And like Andrea said, we don't understand that by us harming the environment, we are not going to have oxygen to breathe in like 50 years, and that's going to harm our own health. We're going to have to pay the find oxygen to breathe because there's not enough trees, right? So these are very serious impacts that we need to consider. And I think the second thing, Andrea, do you have another thing that you want to talk about? I think another important thing is to go plastic free. We spoke about how it's important to how plastic never goes away. It's always there. Like like it's not going to, disintegrate into the sand. If you throw a plastic
Yeah.
bottle into a landfill, it's going to remain a bottle, and that is a huge problem. So, try to go hashtag plastic free, not just on your Instagram, but in real life as well. Billions
Yeah.
of pounds. It's I For me, the reason why I've been trying to do this is because I have seen, I like, again, I bring up Sri Lanka because that's where I used to live, and we're a little island. I have seen with my own eyes so many turtles, so many
Oh,
animals that wash up on the seashore because they have plastic stuck in their bodies, and that's the reason that they're dead. I'm glad
oh.
that young people now, the whole straws where people are using metal straws, that makes me so happy.
I completely agree because no one wants to see like animals that doesn't have even an idea what's happening with them because of humans' fault. I get mad with those things. I say as you. I always try to use recycled things. Like when I go to buy, I always go with my own bag because I don't want to use.
Yes,
And I
yes,
think, yeah, and I think that another advice or example that can help us is drive less. Just drive less, like because if I need to walk an hour to go somewhere and I have time, I go for like an hour walk or 2 hours walk because I love as well to look be distracted, and also because when you're on the bus you're using your phone as well and you get, I
yeah.
don't know, I just don't want to use my phone that all the time.
Yeah, oh my gosh, yes, that's so true. I mean, if you can walk, it's good for your health as well. You don't have to pay extra to go to the gym. How easy is that? You can just go for a walk, and you don't have to pay your gym membership, and you're saving time, and it's just good for everybody. So walk if possible. If not, use public transport. You don't need to have a car to get everywhere. It's so much easier to use public transport. If you can't walk, use public transport. These are little things that you can do to make sure that we have a planet to live in a few years to come. Now, with that being said, Andrea, I think we should go on into a little break. But when we come back, we're going to share with you a lot more tips on what you can do to live sustainably as much as possible.
The valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday, and what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. What am I saving or investing for? Why am I doing it? When will I need the money? And how much money do I need? Yeah. So that's quite important, because when you're looking at your net worth, you got to start with saying, well, what do I want my net worth to be? So that there's a goal, and then work backwards. How do I get there? And if I can start with £50 or $50 a week, if I save that every week, and you can go online and use calculators online. I don't have to teach you the maths behind it, but you can say, okay, and if I get a 3% return and I put this away for how long will it take to reach my goal? And that's called just this basic cash flow projection calculations. And it's what we use in financial planning all the time. What we say to clients is we say, okay, what is your goal? What is your objective? Where do you want to go to? And we discuss that in a lot of detail and over most of the meeting. And then the rest of it is saying, okay, in your exact circumstances, with your risk profile, with how you feel about investments and pensions and taxes and where you are and who you work with, and your education level or your lack of education or how involved you want to be. There's a lot of variables that we take into account, and then we say, okay, here's a plan. You start like this, that's great. And then we review it all the time. And we say, okay, we need to increase it, we're on track, we're not, this is what is happening. Because remember, when you're dealing with assets, the valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday, and what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. So that's a struggle. Yeah. So there are strategies everywhere from £50 a week up to £100 million pounds, and they're different. Right? they range differently from everyone, but and from country to country, to be fair. Different countries have different tax laws, so different vehicles. But from your point of view, at the sort of normal end, I'm not going to call it the low end because I'm in that boat as well. It's as tax efficient as you can get it. That's where you start. You use all the tax efficiencies and then you step up into different things.
And it gives them something to look at, and it makes them laugh. It makes them laugh. So that's why I do it.
Oh, and it could be a really good pickup line as well. Ladies will ask, "Hey, excuse me, so why are you wearing something so colorful?" I mean, hey, you can always have something up on your sleeve. I mean, got me thinking. You want to stand out. Why do you want to stand out though so much, especially with these kind of shirts when you're riding? There must be a purpose behind it, right?
Well, when you say a purpose, Nick, what I do, I wear the shirts mainly because they're nice and bright. So they make me visible, especially if I'm riding on the road.
Okay. That's very important, right? Because you want cars,
very important. And also, like people see me in like calves, and perhaps I shouldn't be saying this on here, I suppose, but in the bar afterwards.
All right.
And it gives them something to look at, and it makes them laugh. It makes them laugh. So that's why I do it.
Oh, and it could be a really good pickup line as well. Ladies will ask, "Hey, excuse me, so why are you wearing something so colorful?" I mean, hey, you can always have something up on your sleeve. I mean, you look like a guy who would do.
You know me too well. You know me too well, Nick.
The Chat Trap.
Good morning out to you, or good afternoon, doesn't matter where you are. We have people listening in from all around the world, and I just want to say a big hello going out to every single one of you. Thank you so much for being a part of the show so far. It's definitely been such a pleasure to talk to you, to communicate with you, and just to have a good time with you. Now, I am Jamie. Andrea, you're supposed to come.
Sorry.
It's okay. We got Andrea on board as well. And both of us are going to keep you company for quite some time. And we will be talking about a lot of interesting things. Not just fun, but we're also talking about things that can help you and that can help you to become a better person. Okay, so these are the kind of conversations that we want to be having with you. So, Andrea, do you want to remind everybody how they can be a part of the show, how they can, get in touch with us, and how they can share their thoughts and opinions with us?
Of course, we would like to hear your opinions, your thoughts, your personal experience by sending us messages our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, and by the app. Like, you can look at different shows that we have during the day and during the week, but they're downloading our app that is available on iOS and Android.
Absolutely. So go ahead, download our app. It's available absolutely free of charge, like Andrea just said. Head on over to Play Store or App Store, and if you download our app, it means that it doesn't matter where you are, as long as you have an internet connection. As long as you do have like some sort of connection, you can take us with you wherever that you go. So even though we call ourselves radio, we're far from like average radio. We're so much more. We created this platform so that you get the opportunity to share your thoughts and opinions with every single person out there. So go right ahead. Let me know what you're thinking. Let us know what you're thinking, because we would absolutely love to hear. Now, with that being said, Andrea, we've been talking about something so interesting so far. We've been talking about sustainability. And if you're just tuning in, I know it sounds like something that you've heard quite often, but the reason we had this conversation is because Andrea and I yesterday, we came to a realization that poorer countries or more developing countries are actually doing so much more in terms of protecting the environment and in terms of becoming more sustainable as opposed to developed rich countries, which is something that surprised the both of us, right, Andrea?
Yeah. I mean, that happened to me in different countries, and that happened as you. I mean, you have the quite similar experience than me. And I'm shocked because I thought I was the only one person that, not only one, but no people think really about that. Like they don't really realize about these things. I
Yeah.
don't know. Like I always try to recycle and try to don't make too much waste because I feel bad, to be honest. I feel bad when I do that. And as I'll tell you, I try to, I don't know, even try to use a bottle like one, not just buy every time different plastic bottles because I think that my family does that. I don't know why, but my family does that. I know it's really bad, but I just try to don't continue with that
Yeah,
because
absolutely. That's amazing advice, and I think that's so true. Do whatever. I love how you bought this whole the fact that you feel bad when you do something that's going to harm the environment, and I think a lot of people don't have that sense of guiltiness, if that makes any sense.
yeah,
Right, and that's because now, if you missed the show earlier on, me and Andrea, we come from very different backgrounds. She comes from like Spain and Bolivia, and I myself have been in a lot of different countries, especially like in Sri Lanka and a lot of other developing countries. And we came to a conclusion that at the end of the day, when you're in a lot of developing countries, there's more pressure that's put onto, especially the younger people, especially in schools. I gave you a very good example of how schools in Sri Lanka force children to recycle, put it in the three bins, and we're told to, not use plastic, polythene in school. And, there's a lot of things that happen in developing countries to ensure that we are plastic free, to ensure that we are doing whatever we can to live sustainably. But I told you, for example, when I was in the US, it wasn't such big of a deal. For everybody, it was just like, oh, do what's convenient to you, do what's
yeah,
easy. And there's nothing other than that. Nobody really talks about. People do talk about like eating healthy in terms of like being plant-based, being vegan,
yeah,
but up to a certain extent, even in schools, this whole plastic-free concept is still not something that is um, encouraged, I would say, in a lot of developed countries. Now, this is not. I know that it sounds very like. How do I say, controversial, but it's not just something that Andrea and I are saying, but because according to UNESCO, a study that was done in UNESCO this year, apparently developing nations actually put proportionately more of their effort into sustainability than richer countries. Right? It means that at the end of the day, a lot of these each countries, a lot of progress is being made towards being better on environments in developing countries. That means third world countries and poorer countries, as opposed to rich countries like the UK, like the US, like all of these very strong and well off countries. Which to me, which was surprising, right? And I think that's why, Andrea, living in the UK, both of us started talking about what we as individuals can do in order to be more sustainable. And you brought up something that I promised myself I would share with everybody, and that's the fact that you kind of make your own clothes. What does that mean?
uh,
About it? That
because
blew my mind.
because to be honest, I bought so much clothes. I bought so much because I like it, and as I told you, I feel bad when I just say, okay, it's not my size, I'm gonna put to the rubbish. No, I try to donate or I try to make clothes. Like I think, okay, this can look good with this type of jeans. I did this. I did this hair, so I was like, I can try to do that. Like I didn't have classes like fashion and all that stuff, but I just have an idea. I mean, do something that you like it and try to be creative.
Wow, that is amazing, Andrea. Like, what the heck? That is, oh,
Thank you.
that's such good an example. And I feel like, how old are you? You're like 2021?
I'm like, yeah,
Okay. So my point is that an 18-year-old girl, like an 18-year-old student basically, can think of so much. Then why can't adults who are grown up and who have so much more knowledge than us, why can't all of us have this same mentality? I love Andrea's outlook. And me, I spoke of myself. I hate polythene, I hate plastic, and whatever it is, I started using this thing where even shampoo, I realized in my house I have a sister, right? And both of us run through a lot of shampoo and conditioner on our hairs. And one one of the biggest waste that we use is the plastic bottle that remains from the shampoo or whatever. The plastic bottle that remains is so toxic to the environment. It just imagine, okay, my house, we run through at least 4 plastic bottles of shampoo and conditioner a month. Now, if you take 15 houses, that's so much of plastic bottles. And these plastic bottles end up in our oceans. They end up in less developed countries. People, it ends up in the marine. It messes up our entire system. So what I try to do is, there are stores that sell bars of shampoo. So it's basically wrapped in paper, and it doesn't come in a bottle. It doesn't come in any of the plastic. It just comes in like a bar. So you get shampoo and conditioner. It's almost like a bar of soap, but it's actually shampoo and conditioner, which I think is amazing.
Wow, that's amazing.
Right? So do little things like this, instead of using plastic bottles, switch to glass. It's better for your health as well, because plastic, when you keep it in sun, it's not good. When it heats, it's not good. So, instead of having your coffee in a new plastic bottle every single day, maybe get yourself a glass mug that you can carry around.
Yeah.
These are little things that you can do. And oh my goodness, I can't tell people enough how important this is. I want my children to be able to, go in the ocean. I don't want the ocean to be a toxic waste place, I want people to experience the world the way I experienced it. And that's why that's why I want everybody to.
That's so lovely. That's so lovely. Oh my God. Thank you so much for telling us this, because for real, we just need people to realize that this is happening and this is real. And not just think about them, like as you said, think about you and your future, not just now. And I feel bad, when I see people in the tube or on the bus and they leave things on the floor, I just pick them and put in the rubbish, because that's not correct. Either you say someone is gonna clean that, but why you don't clean your own rubbish? It's your thing, as you said. We need to really take care about that.
Absolutely, pick it up, put it in the trash can. It's not something that's too hard to do. Teach your children. I think that's one thing that's super important. But Andrea, I don't know if you agree with me, but one thing that I feel like is a lot of young people, especially in UK, in London, no, actually, especially all over the world, the younger people are more aware of this. I think social media, we use the hashtag plastic free, we use hashtag save the planet, and a lot of people are more aware. The younger people are more aware of protecting the planet. And I myself have a lot of friends that have gone plant-based, that don't buy meat, that don't buy anything with regards to plastic or any food that contains plastic. And a lot of my friends have started to go zero waste as well. So I feel like the younger people are more aware of the situation as opposed to old people. So maybe we can switch it up, and maybe when you sit with your parents, talk to them about how important it is to save the planet. Talk to them about the things that you see on social media, and
yeah, because it's something really important. Either you use a hashtag. I didn't realize how much power has the hashtag until people started posting that, and you can highlight with this. Why you don't try to highlight the environment and to be sustainable? Did you know that girl? Oh my God, what's her name? The Swedish girl that is really young. She's really good example. Such a I can't believe that she did that. Wow.
One person's impact went so far, and that's what Andrea and I have been talking to you about. This planet, we don't have another home to go to. We don't have we can't just create animals. We can't just create the ocean. We only get one shot at this. So yes, it's important to enjoy life, but just do little things to compensate, to live sustainably, to reduce your carbon footprint. Just do little things, and I think little things can definitely go a long way. With that being said, we're going to head on over to a little break, but when we come back, we have a lot more interesting things to talk about. So make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relaks Radio.
The valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday, and what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. what am I saving or investing for? Why am I doing it? When will I need the money? And how much money do I need? Yeah. So that's quite important, because when you're looking at your net worth, you got to start with saying, well, what do I want my net worth to be, so that there's a goal, and then work backwards. How do I get there? And if I can start with £50 or $50 a week, if I save that every week, and you can go online and use calculators online. I don't have to teach you the maths behind it, but you can say, okay, and if I get a 3% return and I put this away for how long will it take to reach my goal? And that's called just this basic cash flow projection calculations. And it's what we use in financial planning all the time. What we say to clients is we say, okay, what is your goal? What is your objective? Where do you want to go to? And we discuss that in a lot of detail and over most of the meeting. And then the rest of it is saying, okay, in your exact circumstances, with your risk profile, with how you feel about investments and pensions and taxes and where you are and who you work with, and your education level or your lack of education or how involved you want to be. There's a lot of variables that we take into account, and then we say, okay, here's a plan. You start like this, that's great. And then we review it all the time. And we say, okay, we need to increase it, we're on track, we're not, this is what is happening. Because remember, when you're dealing with assets, the valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday, and what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. So that's a struggle. Yeah. So there are strategies everywhere from £50 a week up to £100 million, and they're different, right? They range differently from everyone, but and from country to country, to be fair. Different countries have different tax laws, so different vehicles. But from your point of view, at the sort of normal end, I'm not going to call it the low end because I'm in that boat as well. It's as tax efficient as you can get it. That's where you start. You use all the tax efficiencies, and then you step up into different things.